is Angelica Donati, and I'm a venture partner at Concrete VC, which is a Proptech venture capital fund. I have been with them for a few months, and I have a background in construction and residential real estate, so I'm quite well versed in the Proptech space from the industry perspective. I write a column for Forbes on innovation and technology in real estate and construction, and through this column I have access to a lot of industry players, a lot of investors, a lot of real estate companies and a lot of startups. And the biggest trend I have seen for 2019 is the expectation that space as a service and all the technologies that go with it will really become a central play for investors and for operators. This is because real estate companies have now realized that they're not in the asset management business, they're in the customer service business, and ultimately they need to make sure that their occupiers, and more specifically the people that occupy their buildings, so the employees of the companies that rent or the tenants that live in their flats, have the best experience, so they'll stay longer and they'll be more happy within their space. So I think that tech can improve the way people live or people experience the buildings they're in many ways. So beyond the obvious ones, so easier access control. So if you work for a company that has buildings in many countries, rather than having a ton of passes, you can just use your smartphone to tap in or out, and whatever other simple things like booking meeting rooms or controlling the air conditioning and the lighting in a way that's more bespoke. There's also a whole other play around making sure that the environment is the most positive environment for these people to be in. So not just in terms of, let's say, air quality control, noise control, but also in terms of maximizing the layouts, maximizing the uses of space, figuring out how many meeting rooms to have, how close the desks need to be, where they should be, what is the best way to configure groups that work together on different projects, etc. I don't know if I would call this necessarily surprising, but about a year ago there was a lot of excitement around blockchain technologies for real estate, and it seemed to be the kind of fix-it-all solution for every problem under the sun. And it turned out not to be the case. It turned out not to be the case, A, because it's still very much in its infancy, and because the system itself still requires a lot of trust building and also a lot of just actual building on top of it. So I think it's a bit concerning to see a lot of companies going into the tokenization of assets in such an aggressive way, because my concern, and it might be completely a misguided concern, is that this could fuel a bubble, kind of like what we saw with subprime in the US, where people are being sold assets that are being sliced, diced, and repackaged, and they don't really understand the risks of what they're getting into. So it's great that now with these crowdfunding, crowd investments, tokenization, that real estate investments will no longer just be for massive funds, but other players can also take part in them. But there is a risk that small retail investors, private individuals who think about property as a safe pension investment, might unwittingly enter riskier transactions than they know they're getting into, and risk losing money like people did with the subprime crisis.